You play a football match without fans, you've got nothing. It can be the greatest game in the world. If there are no people there to watch, it becomes nothing.
Into Johnston. Johnson. And a goal by Johnston. Into Kuba. Larson. Oh, he's in. Henrik Larsson. That is sensational. Nakamura. He has done it. Isn't that just typical?
The game is over. The Rebels have won.
A star is born at Celtic.
Champions. That's who we are.
Hello, gentlemen. Tuesday Tic Talk time, and of course, we're on the eve of the Celtic game. We're kicking off in about 1 hour and 10 minutes. We're waiting for the Celtic lineup. So I guess the nerves are kind of jingling right now. We've got McGinty, we've got James. Guys, how you doing? And how you feeling for tonight?
I don't know how I feel tonight. I'm not nervous. I'm not apprehensive. I'm not nothing. I don't want to say I'm not excited. I am, but I just don't know what to expect. I'm still in that mood of the team's really shit, like performance-wise, up until the last 2 games, really. And I'm not expecting a great deal from us. And then I'm also thinking they've scored 17 goals in the last 20 minutes of football, some shit like that. So I expect them to come out pumping us.
James, is there something in the air tonight?
I don't know, mate. I don't know. I've not seen an awful lot of Feyenoord. I've seen the kind of what McGinty was saying there. They've scored a few, but I do think they concede a few as well. So with our defence, I think we can easily concede a few. But then going forward, hopefully Kyogo, Maida, and everybody else has got a wee bit more space. So I'll take a wee 2 each draw. I'll take that now.
2 each draw. I would definitely take a draw. Like a point would be fantastic. I know that Feyenoord are like top 1 in the group, but I think it's Atletico's group, to be honest, to top it. I think that they're the calibre of player that they've got. It's far better than everybody. Like their wage bill alone far exceeds everyone. Probably all 3 of us put together, in fact. So, result wise, you would definitely take a point. Our form in Europe has not been great away. Like that's an understatement, to be honest. We're well due a result. However, Feyenoord are no mugs. So I'm kind of optimistic though. Like until it goes south, then I won't be surprised if it does. But until that happens, then I'm still going to be optimistic. What I could see, and I really hope it doesn't transpire this way, is like us to play well for like I don't know, the first half and then the second half, right after half time, after the second half kicks off, we lose like 2 goals, like bang, bang, like that. That's like kind of typical us away in Europe. Hope it doesn't happen like that. I guess one thing, Hatate or Turnbull, or is that a silly question?
Are you asking what we should play, what we think we should play, or are you asking what we know Brendan Rodgers is going to do?
Well, you don't know what Brendan Rodgers you think you might know. Well, a bit of both then. What would you do and what do you think will happen?
100% the 3 starting midfielders, every time all 3 is fit is McGregor, Hatate and O'Reilly. But I just feel like he's going to go with Turnbull over Hatate.
Is that because of Turnbull's European pedigree?
No, it's because of the shit show of watching Turnbull and O'Reilly for pretty much every game this season so far.
Right. James, I would start Hatate every day of the week. I know that like some people have highlighted stats-wise that Hatate is irresponsible out of possession. In fact, you don't need to be a statistician probably to agree with that, but I think he makes us a far better team. You saw at the game at home on Saturday how it gave everybody a lift and the tempo went up as well. Do you think that it's an obvious choice, or do you think Brendan Rodgers will be? I don't know. Do you think he'll?
I think he will go with Hatate tonight. I think it is a fairly obvious choice, to be honest. Rodgers obviously likes Turnbull. I've said before, I've defended him on here. I do like him myself, but I know Turnbull scores the opener for the penalty on Saturday, but the game totally changed when Hatate came on, and you would assume Rodgers has obviously took note of that as well. And I think Hatate would be more suited to European football than David Turnbull. David Turnbull's a wee bit more a kind of, not a luxury player, but not a million miles off it, whereas Hatate's got a wee bit more of an engine on him.
Comment here for Ian McIntosh. People have us losing with our patched up side before a ball is kicked, just like the game against the new club. It's a fair point. However, it is definitely a step up European football. Well, I'm looking forward to it, man. What will happen? But let's enjoy it.
I mean, don't get me wrong at all, guys. As much as I'm not expecting great things from this game because of our slow start to the season, shall we call it that, I hope I'm wrong. I hope we come out and I hope Hatate starts. I hope that we come out and we score 3 goals in the first 10 minutes and we absolutely take the game to final. Don't get me wrong at all. I'm just kind of a little bit more realistic that there's a bigger chance that Feyenoord are probably going to sneak the win against us before we sneak anything. But I'll take a draw all day long. Away from home, take a draw.
I just hope we don't concede in the first kind of maybe 5-10 minutes and don't get a man sent off or something stupid like that, as it feels as if we do nearly every time we get away from him. There's always something daft happens and then it's kind of over before it began. So hopefully we can get another Anderlecht-esque performance.
I would definitely take that. For Snick, Mick, Turnbull and O'Reilly just don't have enough legs to be a duo for me, especially in Europe. I would agree with that.
I'm going to stop you there, Gavin, before you run into anything else, and just announce that the lineup has been put up on Twitter. In goals, we have Joe Hart, Alistair Johnson, Lagerbielke, Scales, and Taylor make up the back line. McGregor, O'Reilly in the central midfield with a third option of the Japanese maestro Ryo Hatate. Palma on the right, Maeda on the left, and of course the talisman that is Kyogo through the middle. So right, I'm happy with that.
Okay. I see you enjoyed that one. So, James, talking points there. Obviously, we agreed that Hatate should be there, so fair enough. But the other talking point would be Lagerbielke and Scales together. They have a partnership. The emergency centre-back, Phillips, is that his name?
Phillips, right.
Phillips.
Yeah. So he's not even on the bench.
Not even on the bench. So I guess that's an injury. And Palma ahead of Yang.
Yeah, Yang's on the bench along with Turnbull, Holm, Awata, Bernardo, Forrest, Ralston. Mikey Johnston is on the bench. And youngster Morrison, the Bane, is the goalkeeper, of course.
Right. What are we expecting for Palma tonight? We saw a cameo for him far too early, really, to kind of get excited. James, what was your thoughts? You were at the game on Saturday. What's Palma going to do tonight?
I thought it looked dangerous. When he first came on, I thought he was maybe a wee bit over-eager, maybe trying a wee bit too hard. But I liked the look of him. Granted, it's kind of hard to judge him on kind of 20-25 minutes. But I thought he would have started the night purely because of the price tag. Like, obviously, when you're spending, or obviously selling Jota, and then he essentially is Jota's replacement. In terms of price tag anyway, you're expecting him to play in these games, and he's been in the door now a couple of weeks, so hopefully he gives us a wee bit of creative spark. Maeda, I think, was always going to be pretty much first name in the team sheet for these games. You hope he obviously does a bit defensively, but as I say, hopefully Feyenoord Dundee going to be sitting in, so hopefully there's a wee bit more space for him to operate in and we can see the best of him.
I had thought that Palma would be benched and that Yang would have continued on, and if we needed to make an impact, then Palma would have came on. So I'm looking at the bench right now. Obviously, you've read it out. So you've got people who could maybe change a game, like Yang, Turnbull, Holm, Awati could come on and show things up. You've got Bernardo, Forrest, Ralston. Not that Ralston would change the game, but he's a steady operator. Mate, look, we're on our own tonight. Nobody's going to help us out. We just need to do what we can do. Play to our strengths. That's what we did at Ibrox when people wrote us off. We played to our strengths. We didn't tailor our tactics to match what the Huns were doing. So I think we just need to go for it. Obviously, with a bit of pragmatism as well, not completely gung ho the way that Ange would do, perhaps. But we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. What do you think, McGinty, of the backline with Lagerbielke and Scales starting? I know that we'd written off Taylor, but Taylor has now been kind of given license to resume his old role by kind of slotting inside as well to double up the numbers in the midfield. I think Taylor likes to be able to go back to that role. So I think he's more of a confident player. I don't think he's as much of a liability as what he was at the start. But specifically, Lagerbielke and Scales, they know each other. They've already played some games. So it's probably the smart option anyway, and perhaps the only option.
Yeah, I think was that 3 games in a row Lagerbielke and Scales started, and it's been clean sheets. So I think it's a sensible one here. As much as we can all admit that Scales is 4th or 5th choice out of all the names that are available to us throughout the next few months once everybody's back fit. I think it's a sensible one to go with continuity there. If Taylor truly is being allowed to play more of an inverted fullback role again, which I think he is, because even the first couple of games and then pre-season against Wolves, we seem to be sticking with the inverted fullbacks a little bit. Not as extreme as what Ange was doing it, but we kind of done it for a little bit. McGregor can drop back, of course, and help out. Scales being left-sided of the centre-back will look to cover when Taylor goes a bit awry. Maeda can track back really well, as we've seen him countless times against them. And I think Alistair Johnston has the energy and the wit to know that if he has to cut right across the defensive line, he can, and we saw that against Dundee a few times as well. So I think the back line is, as much as it still looks quite weak, it's not our first choice pairing centre-back, and it's not even what we would like as a left-back option. I think it's as strong as we can field today, considering everything else that's going on with Carter Vickers and Rocky. It's the midfield and the front that I like the look of. Palma, I think, looked really good on Saturday when he came on. I think he looks like a very confident player who showed for the ball quite a lot. He's got a little bit of trickery with his footwork. He looked to take all the corners and free kicks whenever they came available. And I think he'll be a guy who will start this game looking for the ball and looking to do something special with it. And of course, Kyogo, Hatate, McGregor, they speak for themselves. It's an attacking lineup, this one. So I'm happy and I'm confident. Well, a little bit more confident than I was 10 minutes ago.
Now, I know that from the lineup with Palma and Maeda, you're never going to know who's on the left and who's on the right until they actually line up, albeit they can alternate throughout the game. But see if Palma's on the left and Maeda has to go into the right. James, do you think that takes Maeda out of his routine? I've always thought he's a bit of a square peg in a round hole, but he understands what he needs to do, albeit his execution isn't always there. But if you put Maeda onto the right, do you think that might kind of flummox him?
I think it must. It's not something we've seen very often. Obviously, we've seen Jota getting pumped out to his unfavoured side a lot last season in favour of Maeda, and I wouldn't have been my choice to do that, to be honest, for the majority of the games, especially at home. As we've said on here before, Maeda splits opinions, but games like the night, he's going to definitely have his use. So I think it will be Maeda playing in the left as normal with Palma on the right. And then obviously, as I said in the comments here, as the game goes on, if we are maybe looking for something, then we've got Yang, who's got pace and kind of puts himself about. I've been quite impressed with him, so it's a good option to have as well coming off the bench.
That's a good point. I definitely don't think Palma's going to last the full 90, because I don't know how many games he played with the Greek mob, but he's only had 20-25 minutes with Celtic. By the hour mark, he's going to burn out, I would imagine. And you've got Yang to come on. We're going to need big performances in the team. None more so than players like O'Reilly and McGregor. Hatate, as long as Hatate kind of cuts out mistakes, he's going to be the main creative force in the midfield as well. And, any chance that Kyogo gets, we hope he puts that away. We know how Kyogo struggled last season in front of goal. Do you think this could be the night, McGinty, that he takes his chances if he is presented with any?
Kyogo. Hopefully. He's in great form just now for a striker. He got his goal and assist at the weekend. I think he's we kind of touched on this subject recently, the comparisons between him and Henrik Larsson. And I think it's too early to actually say that he's on par with Larsson, let alone saying that he could surpass him. But I think there's merit in the discussion. But if he wants that discussion, or if we want that discussion to actually continue,
I think you want that discussion to continue.
I do want that discussion to continue, but he needs to do it in the Champions League. He needs to put in a performance tonight. He needs to do it a couple more times in this group stage. He needs to bag 2, 3, 4 goals with confidence and put a marker down and show that he's not just killing it in the domestic scene. He's actually able to elevate his game and not so much carry us into Champions League football, but actually lead the line and actually be a Champions League goal scorer for us at least. What happens with him after that is a whole other ballgame if clubs come calling or rest it. But if he can perform in the top end of European football for us and stay here for a few years, Cairo is destined to be up there with some of the best that we've had in recent times. Just want to touch back on the Lewis Palmer thing. Yeah, I wondered how many games he's actually played before he signed for us. 5 games before he signed for us, 4 Champions League qualifiers, Europa League qualifiers, and 1 in the Greek league by the looks of it. So 5 games. I would assume that's the start of this season-ish. So he must be match sharp. He didn't look unfit when he came on the other day. So whether or not he gets 90 minutes is another matter. But yeah, he looks like he's smart and good enough.
Now, I'm going to be honest enough to know that I don't quite know the tactics of Feyenoord tonight. I don't know how they're going to play. However, I would imagine they will certainly look like the home team. James, I would envisage Celtic maybe not getting too many opportunities, but I hope it's not a complete back to the wall effort. Certainly with our defenders, especially Scales. I think Scales, he excels whenever we're playing quite deep, whenever it's kind of back to the wall effort. Whenever he's got time, then I think that he kind of struggles with that. We're trying to kind of distribute the ball, probably invites mistakes whenever he's got too much time. So I'm thinking it might be a bit like that, and us trying to kind of pick them off on the counter-attack. How do you see the game going?
I would be very, very, very surprised if it is a backs to the wall effort, purely because that's literally playing to your weakness. The defence, the back line clearly is the weakness. I think if Phillips was fit, he would have started probably ahead of Scales. I think that would have been nailed on. But even if Phillips was there, it still isn't a back line that inspires you with great confidence. So if we were to go out and try and sit in, you're literally just setting yourself up to be hit for 4, 5, 6 probably. So I think we will go out and have a go. We'll obviously need to defend, getting away from him in Europe, of course we will. Just hope that we can kind of stand up to it. And as I said, Feyenoord aren't going to sit in either, you wouldn't imagine. So whoever wins the midfield will probably control the game. As I say, you'd imagine, obviously, Feyenoord at home, they will have the majority of the ball. So hopefully we can exploit the space in behind. And we've got pace in the wide areas, pace in Kyogo up front. He's in a great vein of form now. So I think there will be chances, but it's the back line that's just always going to give us a fear. I'd back us to make chances probably against anybody now, to be honest. Probably a wee bit weird saying that after form we've had in the league, but we are still kind of creating chances for the most part. Like we've seen it at Ibrox as well. We could have arguably had a couple more. We are still making the chances, and with a wee bit more time and space, hopefully we get that tonight. But to get back to the question, I'd be very, very, very surprised if we do go back to the wall. I think that'd be stupid.
See if Abada was fit tonight. Somebody made the point, smell the glove. Really needed Abada tonight for counter-attacking. Do you think if he was still fit, then Palmer would have been benched?
I think it depends on his form, to be honest. I think if you were to ask Brendan Rodgers his ideal Celtic team of doing form, I think Turnbull and Abada would be in it. Turnbull started the season well against Ross County, but he's kind of went right off the boil since then. Obviously, Hatate coming back is one of our better players, so it's probably been the same for Abada. Just see how he is, how his form's been getting into it.
Hugh Jameson is obviously a very, very optimistic man. He thinks that Joe Hart will save a penalty tonight. That
It's
would be
going to be
amazing.
Greg Taylor's going to give that away. You know it.
That would be amazing. I'm excited. The closer it gets to kickoff, I'm getting more and more excited. Out of curiosity, how are Newcastle getting on? I know that they were the early kickoff against
Still-
AC Milan.
Still 0-0. I caught most of the first half, and it was pretty much one-way traffic for Milan, but still 0-0.
That sounds exciting.
Corvo, that's your team. I know that Corvo's in the chat tonight. By the way, to everybody in chat, thanks very much. Appreciate your joining us tonight. Obviously, we'll sign off whenever kickoff hits. We won't expect anybody to stay on. But Corvo, obviously, your team are back in the Champions League after 20 odd years. Funnily enough, Tonali, I think, is playing for you guys tonight against his former employers. So a bit of an irony with that. But all the best for you guys. I know that you have kind of got the group of death with AC Milan, PSG and Borussia Dortmund. By the way, I'm still not a fan of Borussia Dortmund after they got humbled by the Rotten Mob. Still not let them be forgiven about that. We're getting to Joe Hart, big night for him. Do you think he'll be able to kind of talk his centre-backs through the game? And I like the fact that he's just leathering it sometimes. He's not... I think he's been given license to do that. Don't overcomplicate the game. So keep it simple, Joe Hart. Talk your defence through it. It's all good in theory, but how do you think it'll pan
out? In theory, yeah, it's all good. I think it's part and parcel of having that backline with Bielka and Scales. It's instilling confidence in the backline and the squad, and it instills a bit more confidence in Joe Hart. It's clean sheets, 3 league games in a row, is it? It's clean sheets for them, so they know each other's game a bit better now than they did, 4 weeks ago, which is great. And I think we can all see that Joe Hart the last couple of games as well. He's not had any clangers. As you say, he's more willing to leather the ball up the park when need be. Perhaps that's something, again, that Rodgers has acknowledged. The passing it out from the back isn't always the best option. Sometimes it just needs booted, which he's going to have to do a few times tonight because Feyenoord are going to put us under a lot of pressure. They're going to try and make us have some errors at the back, and we need to just clear the line sometimes. If he does that, if he's sensible, Joe Hart will be fine. He's got bags of experience at this level.
He does. Another thing, it's a Champions League, man. A lot of players never get this opportunity. And now that they're there, they want to put in the performance. They know that their families will be watching them tonight. So I hope that the guys really, really embrace the occasion tonight. So let's kind of park that for a moment. James, the game at the weekend, 3-0 in the end. First half a bit turgid. I wasn't at the Celtic and St Johnstone game, but I did ask the guy sitting next to me after the first half, was that a fair comparison to the St Johnstone game? Things perked up in the second half. What was your kind of main talking points? I guess one thing I'll ask you is, what was your first impressions of Phillips who came off at half time?
Defensively, I thought he looked all right. He looked good. He done what he had today, won his headers and things like that. He had a couple of slack passes, tried to pick out Maida a couple of times, and nearly picked out me and Rosed. But apart from that, obviously it's not his job to spray balls about. He's there to defend. So he looked all right. As I say, I think if he was fit, he would have started tonight. But a bit hard to get a gauge on him because obviously he's not really having to do a lot of defending against Dundee. But for what he done, he was a kind of steady Eddie. He was nothing spectacular, but wasn't terrible either.
McGinty, there was a bit of chat about making his loan permanent, that sort of thing. And obviously people do get seduced to an extent by the fact that we bought him from Liverpool. It's too early to write him off. I don't want to be overly pessimistic. What was your thoughts on the guy? It's
overall,
right, he's not played much football.
Yeah, overall, I thought he looks like a guy who he definitely needs to get up to speed. I mean, he's not got a wealth of experience, 80-odd games. I think that's his 89th game that he just played in his, first team career. And he's 26, so he's not played an obscene amount of games, so he needs to get match sharpness, he needs to get up to speed, which is expected and understandable, but he's came in injured, he's played one game, he's went back off injured again, he's on a 6-month loan. If we don't have him available for the Champions League games, which is literally why we went out and got him on a 6-month loan, then I don't generally hold much hope that he's going to do too much for us. I don't think we're going to be playing him domestically if we've got Lagerbielke and Scales in the Rocky coming back, or Carter is back soon enough and all the rest. He's not going to get much game time. At first, the idea and the thinking, well, if he comes in and performs well and actually steps up and has a stature about him, kind of like Boyata eventually did at this club. Boyata came good. If he looked like that kind of player who just happened to go through the early 20s without much game time, then I could see us making the permanent move or at least extending the loan. But see, just now after that first half performance, no disrespect because he didn't really do anything wrong, I just don't see where it is about him. I don't see us getting anything else out of him.
I think what you said, that stat that you mentioned, like he played 80 odd games and he's a 26-year-old professional.
Yeah,
that does kind of makes you wonder the character of the guy.
By this way, Stephen Welsh, I think I looked at the stat when he signed. Stephen Welsh, I think, is 24 and has about 80 or 82 games under his belt. And Stephen Welsh didn't get his debut until he was about 20 years old at Celtic. He was a late guy to come in for his debut. I expect Stephen Welsh to be well over 100 appearances by the time he gets to 26, even at this rate of appearances that Welsh is getting at Celtic. So is he any more experienced or better than Welsh? No, for me, not at this stage. I
was quite impressed with Scales, and I know that all eyes were still going to be on him to an extent. Well, he did well at Ibrox, won Man of the Match award, but people have been kind of eyes on him to see will he trip up in the next game. I thought that he played really, really well. There was one particular challenge, I think it was in the second half, where there was a cutback from the opposition, and the guy looked odds on to score, but Scales came out, tracking back. he slid in, and I think he put the striker off, and it went out for a goal kick. I think Hart congratulated him at that point. Scales, whenever you give him the ball, try to distribute it. That's where you're going to see the kind of the chink. But apart from that, I think he's a reasonably half decent defender. Not Celtic quality, but for these games, he's not disappointed. James, am I being too favourable to Scales at the weekend?
No, mate. Something I noticed as well in the first half was, like you're saying, he was looking to play out for the back. He was looking for the forward pass, be it into the midfield or out wide or whatever. And when it wasn't only he was having to pass it back, he was having to pass it to Phillips. He was having a go at the midfield as well. So I think he's obviously getting a wee bit of confidence in himself that he can. I think it was maybe McGregor one of the times as well. So that I think is good to see that he's getting that bit of confidence. The St Johnstone game, the first game that he came in, he was a bit of a bomb scare, if we're being honest. That one at the end with Stevie May was more or less the only thing I had to deal with, and he didn't do it very well. Then obviously at Ibrox, he was excellent. It was Lagerbielke looked the dodgy one out of the two of them, and then again at the weekend. So he is probably in that team tonight on merit, but you've still got that wee kind of, it's just that wee thing in your head that's never going to go away, isn't it? It's Liam Scales. If we'd signed him in the summer for some foreign team, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. Probably similar to Lagerbielke. Nobody's really questioning that one, but he's there on merit currently. He does deserve it, and it'd have been harsh to remove him. But now he seems to be gaining confidence. But the night will be the big test for him.
Very true, very true. That's actually, by the way, for Lucky 15 Voodoo, that's a good point when he says how many games that Cameron Carter-Vickers had prior to signing for us. So that's a bit of a kind of a touche in terms of us talking about Phillips. Yeah,
I think it is quite harsh to hold that against them, to be honest, because the thing down there, especially with the big teams, they've got you need X amount of players to be homegrown as well, and then obviously the players he's got in front of him. Obviously Van Dijk and Matip and the guy that they signed, I can't remember his name, a big French guy. There's a few of them. So Canati, sorry, So I don't know. I think that's maybe a wee bit harsh to hold out on.
Well, we will crucify him for that anyway. No compassion coming from us. The other talking points. See, whenever Turnbull came off, now Turnbull won the penalty. Okay, people might say that was a turning point in the game. Obviously, it's easier to extend a lead.
About 160 appearances Carter Vickers had before he signed for us. Sorry, quick maths on the side.
Thank you for that. Whether or not the Turnbull penalty changed the game for Celtic, I felt there was a tangible increase in the tempo whenever Turnbull came off. Hatate came on. As soon as Hatate came on, the crowd are up on their feet. You know, they're welcoming them back because injuries have plagued us, and we're happy to see a strong performer back into the team. But the roar for the crowd when Hatate came on, a clear fan favourite. My immediate thought was, what does Turnbull think about that? Has the Turnbull experiment, was it ever truly an experiment, or do you think it was really just a psychological manoeuvre from Rodgers to get the best out of Hatate, do you think? Either of you for that one?
I will let McGinty go first.
I don't know. I mean, people are always going on about Hatate in the summertime, that he wasn't happy and that he was edging for a move out. I think he changed agent as well. He rumouredly rejected the table, offered that we were tabled on him and stuff. I think people forgot that he was actually injured. I can't remember what game it was he actually got injured in. It was one of the early games. But he's been injured and he's only just back. But as soon as he's back from injury, he's straight into the squad. And Rodgers has said all the way through it that Hatate's a great player, and I don't know if he's used these words exactly, but basically he's announced that he's missed having him available. It's good to see that he comes straight back into the squad now that he is, fully fit and ready to go after his sub appearances. Is it the Turnbull experiment is now done? I don't think so. I think Rodgers definitely has that soft spot for him. And I think Rodgers will try and shoehorn him in again at some point. It's whether or not we see... I mean, I think it's very likely we're going to see Turnbull come off the bench tonight. But do we see him come off for O'Reilly, or do we see him come on for Hatate, and then all of a sudden everything slows down again? And that's my kind of wonderment.
I just feel that Rodgers likes physicality in his team, and you've already got McGregor, who lacks that, but is never going to come out the team. I don't think that Rodgers sees Turnbull as his main man in a Celtic jersey, regardless of who else is there. If Turnbull is the only one that he's got to work with, I think that Brendan Rodgers would be chaperone the recruitment door to say, bring me in better players. I just don't ever see Turnbull being the main man for Brendan Rodgers. But, he's been given a bit of time. I personally feel it was a way of trying to get the best out of Hatate. To bench one of your main men sends a bit of a signal, and it's made Hatate, I would like to think it's made him reassess what he needs to do to kind of excel at a top club if he wants to play for whoever. Brendan Rodgers can say, look, I used to be the manager of Liverpool, and I managed players like Coutinho, who was a bit part player at Inter Milan, but he came to Liverpool and I got the best out of him. If you're able to replicate that type of, turning potential into like performances week in, week out, then that's what's going to earn you a big move away. I think that's the kind of advice that he's been given Hatate. Again, I'm just speculating. For Hugh Jameson, Hatate is clearly the best player to play with Calmack and O'Reilly in midfield. Turnbull is always going to be an able backup. So James, the Turnbull. Let's get away from Turnbull. The tempo for the game cranked up a notch whenever he came on. Palmer came on as well. I felt that I saw them kind of link up a wee bit as well. What was your takeaway for Palmer? I know we spoke about him briefly earlier on.
I liked what I seen. He's a bit big. Well, to be fair, I was going to say he's a bit bigger than I thought. I didn't really know what to think. I hadn't seen anything of him. But he looks a kind of relatively big bit of a boy for a winger. He looks to beat a man. He was always shown for it. So the early signs were promising. And as I was saying earlier, the price tag, it wasn't a massive price tag, but out the wingers that we brought in, obviously he was the kind of most expensive. So you're expecting him to start the big games. But no, I liked what I seen. I think he could possibly eclipse Haksabanovic.
see, actually, whenever I saw him, whenever he was making those kind of jinking movements in front of the fullback, my immediate thought was it brought me back to Haksabanovic. But Haksabanovic, he flat out to deceive. So I think time will tell with Palmer to see what his end product will be. I watch his YouTube clips, and he definitely looks like a guy who likes to be the main man, take the set pieces and score goals. So I'm looking forward to seeing what his end product will be. What's this going on here in the comments? Dirty, anyone who actually runs beats Haxa for me. Yeah, Haxa didn't really run at all. So Palmer does look a little bit more mobile than him. What's this? Orange Bastards. What's Michael McDonald all about? Who's he talking
No
about?
idea, but yeah.
Tell us what's up, Michael McDonald. Tell us what's bothering you tonight. Aye. The proof will be in the pudding with Palmer, after at the end of the season. But, from that wee cameo, he looked interesting. Did Dennis be able to take anything for Bernardo when he came on? Again, 20 minutes maybe it was.
I'm not going to lie, by that point, I was too busy trying to watch too many players to find out who was actually having a good game that I couldn't pick Bernardo out. By that point, I'm trying to watch Hatate to see how he's bringing the game on. I'm trying to see how Palmer's doing, which, by the way, James, I think we all assumed that he's going to be immediately resized, and that's why when we saw him, we were like, oh, fuck, you're more like Samaras. There's too many people on that pitch that I wanted to see how they were performing that I actually didn't pay much attention to Bernardo. I don't think he did much wrong because we didn't fuck up after he came on, but yeah, I would have to see more of him.
Aye. I felt a wee bit bad for Odin Holm that he never managed to come on, that it was Bernardo who came on ahead of him. I hope that we're not able to read anything into that, because I thought I'm a fan of Odin Holm. But Bernardo, see, when I watched Bernardo's clips on YouTube, I was scouring for more and more clips, because there was like a 3-minute clip where he looked totally average, and then another clip where he looked like, okay, I can see what he can do. He reminded me a bit of Joe Ledley, strong in the tackle, box to box, not particularly a defensive or an attacking midfielder, just an old-fashioned box-to-box midfielder. But he looks quite strong in the tackle. And it kind of reminded me of Joe Ledley, but we'll see. Very, very early days anyway. So, gentlemen, we're about half an hour, 35 minutes away for kickoff. What is our predictions for tonight? Did someone say 2 each? James, was it you, or 2 each draw?
Aye, I'll go 2 each. Desmond.
Can I change? I was going to agree to a wee one each draw or something. Can I change it to like a 3-2 victory to the good guys? I don't know. I feel more excited the more we talk about Palmer and attacking and stuff. I think there's something there.
3-2?
Yeah, let's go 3-2 to Celtic.
Can you tell me the last time we won 3-2 away in the Champions League? What team it was against?
Was it against another Dutch team about 22 years ago?
No.
Spartak
Okay.
Moscow.
That's it.
Against a Russian team about 12 years ago.
Who was the scorers? I know that Gary Hooper got one.
Samaras and James Forrest.
That was a brilliant. I think that was the first time we'd ever won away in the Champions League.
Aye, Aidan McGeady, I think it was his own open goal, and that's what he was saying all the time. He was at Celtic. They never won away for him in Europe. Get scudded or Europe basically, and then he got his move to Spartak Moscow. Next season we drew him and then bet him away for him.
Aye, I saw that. I don't know if this guy was the manager for Spartak that night, but one guy who managed Aiden in Russia was Unai Emery.
Aye, I think he was. Or would it have still been that? Was it Slutsky? I mind Leonard Slutsky was there for years as well. Was that Spartak? He was at CSKA. It was CSKA actually, wasn't it?
What a great name. Aye, Unai Emery though. He's been about. I think he was the one at Newcastle wanted ahead of Eddie Howe. They wanted to get Unai Emery first because he's a bit of a European specialist. Right, guys. My pre-match nerves are kicking in now. Is anyone on the bevy tonight? I know that is.
No, I'm keeping it clean myself. I've got work early doors tomorrow morning. Big drive, so keeping it easy.
There's James.
I've got a wee couple of cans in the fridge there, nothing major. That could change come 10 o'clock tonight though, but I doubt it.
You're writing up the script or ripping up the script if we win tonight. Like people will be calling in sick to work tomorrow if that is the case. But how likely is that? So what else have we got to talk about tonight? Oh, so the financial results that have been announced. McGinty, you are our numbers man. So what's the figure? Is it 40 million in the bank or 70 million in the bank?
70 million in the bank, I think, is the easy way to describe it. Revenue was 119 million, the best we've ever done. I think the last time we broke 100 million was 104, 102 million back in Brendan Rodgers' start of his second season. I think what the financial results tell us now is what we all know and have known for many weeks, months, and even years. See, when this club is performing well and the fans are excited, we back this club to the top of the hill and then some. Last year, we had the treble, we had Ange, everything was looking positive and upbeat, everything was exciting. We had the Japan tour, which I don't actually think counts in these results yet. But we had the Champions League, obviously, guaranteed. That helps our stature a lot. We sold Jota and a few other players, which helps boost the numbers up. But even without those, it still would look very, very good. And even Brendan Rodgers that year, we had 104 million. It was Champions League money was in there as well. My point being is, we do well. We back the club financially. We put our hard-earned money into it. But see, when things turn sour, and you've got, and no offense to Ronnie Dyler here, but you've got things like Ronnie Dyler and the closure of the top of the East Stand, and things are getting a bit mundane and a bit slow. We're not bringing in any exciting signings, and we're not doing too great in European football. You see that number drop down to 50-odd million it was under Ronnie Dyler. Under Neil Lennon, it dropped to about 70 million there for a couple of years. We basically back this club when we always back the club, but we back the club even more when things are positive and exciting. So what I don't understand from this club and the people who run it is, why are we backing it so much, have so much financial might, 119 million pound revenue, 70 million pound in the bank, yet we can't sign a freaking left back and a goalkeeper this window. What are we doing with all this money that's been stored when we know fine well if we just went out and got these players that we needed weeks ago, months ago, we could be really well prepared for games like tonight and push on a little bit more and continue to make over 100 million pound in revenue every year. But see, now there's a high chance it starts to dwindle if things don't go the way that fans like. If fans aren't excited, we're not throwing money in. We do what we need to do, but we're not going to throw it into the end of the world sort of thing. Anyway.
Okay, so the gripe is we never signed
Spend more money.
We never. Yeah. Well, we certainly wanted a left back and a goalkeeper. I don't think anyone envisaged whenever Brendan Rodgers came in. So, James, say for example, which we're led to believe Brendan Rodgers watched a lot of Celtic games last season. I don't think anybody would have envisaged Greg Taylor's form dipping. We knew that he had his limitations, but Greg was like more than the sum of his parts, I believe. It's a wee guy who tries like fuck, and we managed to find this new tactic of him coming in as a midfielder, and it brought out the best of him. I don't think anyone really envisaged his frailties getting exposed so much in pre-season and in maybe the opening couple of games in order to make us really angry that we never got a new left back to be the main man ahead of him. What's your thoughts on that? Should it have been anticipated? Did we drop the ball in that regard?
To be honest, I think so. Because under Ange, I said that before, you watch Celtic under Ange, the left back and the right back pretty much played everywhere bar left back and right back. And that was obviously that helps Greg Taylor when he has to play as a kind of more conventional left back. That's where he struggles. I'd say that before Ange came in, he doesn't even to this day. I don't think Greg Taylor has a standout attribute. He's no quick. he doesn't really create a lot of goals. He obviously doesn't score a lot of goals. He's not particularly strong in the tackle. There isn't really a kind of a standout attribute for him. Under Ange, he was just kind of an all-rounder. He was kind of solid. There still wasn't anything really particular that was kind of massively stood out. But even regardless of that, even if Ange stayed, I would have liked to have seen us get an upgrade on Greg Taylor. Getting into the windy, as we spoke about obviously a few weeks ago, where it was still open, and then when it closed, getting into the windy, I think the two glaring weaknesses in the team was the left back area. And to be fair, that's not all on Greg Taylor. Bernabei holds a portion of that as well. Obviously, he doesn't look like an able backup. He's obviously known the Champions League squad as well, to kind of back that up. And also the goalkeeper. And it was the two areas in the squad that we didn't improve. So I'm booming into when that kind of financial statement came out, that was my go-to as well. Why did we not just go out and fix the two glaring weaknesses?
Exactly. I see what you're saying, Gavin, about Greg Taylor last year. If Rodgers was watching all the games, which I firmly believe he was, Taylor looked a good, strong player last year. But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to watch Greg Taylor and know that if you want to overall better that squad from last season, Greg Taylor was one of the obvious ones that needed upgraded on. He is limited in what he can do, and I mean no disrespect to Taylor because he does play with all that he can. But I was shouting out for an improvement and see that it feels like, honestly, we're holding out for Kieran Tierney on loan. And see if that's what we did all summer, was just waiting for Tierney to make a decision on it, then we are absolute fools and mugs. And it's not going to be the first time that we've done something stupid like that, where we've not had a backup plan, even at the point where we realised Tierney was off to Real Sociedad. We still had plenty of time to go out and get another left back, but we seem to have just went, oh well then.
Mm-hmm.
It's madness.
I didn't like the fact that Rodgers spoke publicly about Kieran Tierney. I felt that was not what I want a Celtic manager to do. Brendan Rodgers normally speaks very, very well in the media, but I don't like him to speak publicly about a player when we've already got Greg Taylor there. Now, I was kind of playing devil's advocate there, that nobody really envisaged Greg Taylor's frailties to be so visibly exposed in these games that so far this season. But at the same time, I totally agree with you. I feel like Bodo Glimt was a big game where I realised that Greg Taylor probably wasn't the fullback for me. He's good enough domestically, but if we want to get better as a team, then he needs to be upgraded. So all in all, we've not done that. And we probably didn't need Greg Taylor's recent form to kind of show that we needed to upgrade him. So yeah, you're right. We should have done that. Our whole transfer business this summer hasn't been great anyway. There's a lot of mysteries and why we've left things so late. Even Palmer might be perhaps one of the best signings we've made this window. It might not be, but why did it felt so last minute? Hugh Jameson there. Greg has his limitations, but the biggest mystery to me was why Bernabei was signed when he is clearly hopeless. Exactly. Ange got a lot of credit for his signings, but Ange made a lot of pish signings as well. And a lot of people like to say whose fingerprints was on that signing and this signing, you know. Ange brought in a fair amount of crap from Japan as well, Kobayashi, Ideguchi, and Bernabei. So if Bernabei's been fucking hopeless, man. Abelgard as well, you know, Haksabanovic. A lot of these players.
Aaron Moy.
It's borderline, mate. Borderline. At one point, he was our best player. Don't you forget that. Aye, the left back, I'll admit, it's a bit of a mystery. We knew that Greg Taylor was, as I said, more than the sum of his parts, but definitely upgradable. But we never pulled the trigger. Why we never had a plan in place? And McGinty, you were talking about why Brendan Rodgers was, you know, he kind of spoke about Kieran Tierney. I didn't like that at all. Were we pinning our hopes on nobody coming in? Sociedad not coming in for Tierney, and Tierney just saying, "Oh, you're going to let me go back to Celtic, please. I really like them."
It's madness. I mean, it turns out that Sociedad, I think, are paying almost 100% of his wages. We would never be able to afford that. turns out today, actually, we could afford 100% of Tierney's wage if we really wanted to. But he didn't want to come back here that desperately, or Arsenal just weren't going to entertain a reduction in these in the wage payments from the loaned club. It's just madness. We've done it before. We have the players where we've pinned all our hopes on one player and didn't get it and just didn't have any backup. We're meant to be a club that has scouted players all over the world. We're meant to have lists of like 5, 6, 7, 8 players for each position, and we'll just whittle our way through it. Was Kieran Tierney seriously the only one on a left-back agenda? Did we not have anybody else scouted?
Yeah, I don't think he should have been the solution anyway. Like,
No, 100% not.
We should have just scouted somebody who's like a couple of bodies who are quite decent, fit into our profile, young, great potential. You know, we just never went for it. Like, we've had a lot of shingus fullbacks over the years. But it shouldn't stop you from fucking going out and, you know, like doing your due diligence, if I can get the words out of my mouth. We just never did it. It was just like, fuck it, we'll just persevere. I can get why we're persevering. But same again with Joe Hart. Joe Hart's got one more year, but we're stuck with Joe Hart. And I like the fact that Brendan Rodgers has simplified his role. Well, we can worry a little bit less about Joe this year anyway. But we certainly need to get a goalkeeper for next season. Joe Hart will continue on for the remainder of this year. And it looks like Greg Taylor's going to continue on as well at left back. But hey, you know, like Greg Taylor, he does offer something by coming into the middle of the park and doubling up with the numbers. That's his saving grace. Aye. This mob tonight, they look like they're doing a 4-2-3-1. I'm looking at the lineup. I don't really recognise any of the players. Minte, number 19, up front. I think Corvo said that he is on loan from Newcastle, if I read that right. Minte, I hope he doesn't do anything tonight. Right, so McGinty, you're going for a 3-2 for Celtic?
Yeah. I mean, I'm being far too hopeful, but yeah, I'm going with 3-2.
Mm-hmm. What's your favourite ever Celtic away performance in Europe?
I mean, do we go to the Nou Camp? With the was that an away game?
What, Nou Camp?
That's a home game, wasn't it? I'm thinking Fraser Forster. That's at home. Shut up, Anthony. I don't know. Why would you put me on the spot so suddenly? It's not like we've had many great performances in the Champions League in the last 20 years. We'd have to go
away in Europe. Away in Europe, like, I would say, like, it's still the glove.
I'll go with the Ajax game, the qualifier,
Ajax
back in 2001. Yeah, the Ajax game back then. There's been good home games against Man United. Obviously, the free kicks with Nakamura and stuff like that. But yeah, probably the Ajax game for an away victory. Mm-hmm. Not that there's been many. Fair enough to Michael McDonald. That is one we've all overlooked, although we're not old enough to have actually witnessed that one. That would have been a good away victory, that, I'm sure.
It was half decent, man, but it's overrated, you know what I mean? Come on. Obviously, Lazio, I know that Lazio was in the Europa, but beating them, what was it? Was it 2-1 that we beat them, man? James Forrest with the winner. Cham and Forrest.
Oh, and Cham scored the winner. Forrest scored the equaliser.
Ah. And of course, the last time that us and Feyenoord played together was 1970 at the San Siro.
Another cup final.
Yeah, European Cup final. You know, for the people who went there, I heard that we kind of underestimated them. That's what I've heard from kind of Celtic fans of an older generation, that we underestimated Feyenoord. Man, can you imagine if we had 2 stars? That would be fucking hell.
That would be nice. I'll still accept the 1.
Yeah. One more than other teams have been able to achieve anyway. Right, How do you think the team will play tonight? Do you think there'll be any nerves in passing? Do you think if we go a goal down, do you think we'll be able to kind of keep the heads? Or do you think if anything goes against us, we'll just lose our shit? James, what do you think the mentality of the players will be tonight? Do you think Brendan Rodgers will be able to kind of provide a calming influence for the players?
I think so. I think I staffed as it sounds, because I don't think anybody really gives us a prayer of getting a victory. I think it is one of the games that we've got to go out with the attitude that we're going to win it. As I said earlier, if we go out with the attitude of we'll take a draw, you're going to get bet. There's no point going out and sitting back with that back line. As good as Scales has been, as good as Lagerbielke has been all right. Look, poor at Ibrox. Greg Taylor, even Hart. I know Hart's been quite good recently, but I just think going out to sit back with that defensive line, it's not going to work. So the first 10 minutes will be massive. If we can get the ball in the deck and play a few passes, maybe sneak a goal or 12 in the first 10 minutes, then I think we'll be sound. But I think the first 10 minutes will be massive. If we can get by 10, 15 minutes, then why not get something out of the game?
Famous last words, keep it tight, boys, and then we can see the goal. But I'm genuinely looking forward to it. I really am. I'm optimistic. And, until it goes south, then I'm still going to be hopeful and have faith in the team. Palmer, though. Palmer, it's a big night for Palmer. We really don't know what he can do. We've obviously spent a bit of money on him, but it'll be interesting to see what he's able to contribute to the game tonight. Maida, a big performance for him. I don't know if he's just going to be like doing his usual, chasing down fullbacks, that sort of thing, providing them with a torrid time. But just see whenever Kyogo gets that first chance, I hope he puts it away, man. I really do. I really hope that he manages to kind of put the ghost to bed for last season, because that was a big criticism for him. Giakoumakis, he managed to get the goal in the Champions League, but Kyogo didn't. Really hope it will be this season for him. And
I'll get the kiss of death. That will be the thing. We'll not get a man sent off. Kyogo will pop his shoulder in the first 10 minutes, and that'll be him out for months. There's always something happens to us in these European games away from home. It's always conceding early, a penalty or a red card or something stupid, something daft always happens. If I was a betting man with Chum, that's what I'd predict.
An interesting one here for Ian. Ian McIntosh has said, no coincidence that under Strachan and Lennon's successful teams both had top keepers in Boric and Foster. Ian, I guess the coincidence that you're alluding to is that they were successful, and that's why, a successful team will always be built on a decent foundation. Do you think that another coincidence is the fact that Lennon and Strachan, they were more kind of, if you want to call it, old-fashioned, and that's why they prioritise getting proper good keepers? Like, Martin O'Neill never had a top keeper. Ange has never had a top keeper. Do you think that there's certain managers who would prioritise that over others? Why have we not went for kind of a Boric or Foster calibre of players since then? Or is it just kind of pot luck? That's the question.
That's the big question about what we were saying earlier on about the transfer window, and the big two glaring kind of obvious issues was left back and goalkeeper. It's not to say that Joe Hart is terrible or anything, but he's obviously on the way out as far as near retirement sort of age. We need to be planning for the future. And I would have liked to have seen, like, back in the day when we signed Fraser Forster for the first time, I think he was 22 years old when we signed him on loan. We should be looking to try and do similar. Be it the Fraser Forster was a bit of a big loan signing, a big kind of marquee loan signing as such because of his reputation. But we should be going out and finding that 22, 23-year-old that needs maybe a season of working under Joe Hart, a season of playing cup games and so forth, and getting his confidence up and building him up so that next season he just naturally takes over. Because it's going to come to a point pretty damn soon, which is summertime next year, that we're just going to have to go out and buy 2 or 3 goalkeepers in the one window. Because James, Seagrass and Hart are all going to be off soon enough.
Kelleher for Liverpool.
I think financially he might be our reach for a wage budget. But again, it's somebody that we should probably have been looking to bring in now. be it on loan with an option to buy, we at least get to see what he's all about. If he's good enough, the option's there.
See the boy Bazunu. Is Bazunu the Northern Ireland keeper or the Republic keeper?
Republic.
So Bazunu is ahead of Kelleher, yeah?
He's the Republic's number one. Am I right in saying, was he at Man City? I know he's at Southampton now, but was he at Man City, that Bazunu?
I think you're right. It rings a bell.
Because I think they signed. I don't know if he's maybe on loan to Southampton. If it's one of the ones they've just signed him and loaned him right out. I know he was playing for somebody that's right out of my head, and that was kind of where he made his name. Was it Millwall or something like that? Anyway, it was a team in his Championship.
Right, guys. 10 minutes to kick off. Look, we're going to love yous and leave yous. Thanks very, very much for your comments. We're not going to be on after the game. So you're going to have to make up your own entertainment after that. We will be back next Tuesday. But guys, fingers crossed. Hey, I've not given my prediction. I can't.
You have not.
I just can't. I don't know what to expect. McGinty, you said that at the very start when we went live. What's your thoughts? And you're like, I don't know what to expect. I don't know. I kind of feel the same. It's such an unknown quantity, but we're going to need a bit of luck on our side tonight. Fucking hope that's
100%. I'm with James though. Sorry?
A bit of VAR. We need VAR on our side as well. VAR, and hopefully like a couple of their players like going to a sliding tackle together. They knock each other out, and I don't know. I'm just hoping everything goes in our favour tonight. I'll go for a 2 each. I'll go James. No, in fact, I can't do what you've done. 2-1 to Celtic. 2-1.
Interesting. I was just going to say before we do run off, I'm in agreement with James. It's going to be a hard luck story, isn't it? We're going to something's going to happen where it's going to be like it says Kyle's going to go off within 10 minutes, and that's just going to ruin the entire game for us.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Or we're going to be like one each going into the 89th, 90th minute, and we're going to concede a daft penalty of some kind, and we're all going to pray that somebody was right in the chat earlier on that Joe Hart says it, but something daft is going to happen where it'll be a case of, so close.
Save the penalty and score the rebound.
Aye, some shit like that. You know it's going to be.
No. Tonight is not the night for glorious failures. Tonight's the night for fucking revenge against them after 1970. That's what we'll do. So either 2-1 or 2 each. I'll take that. Guys, thanks very much. I hope you enjoy the game. And we'll be back next Tuesday. Hopefully
singing about a win. All the best, guys.